going on, everybody? It's Black Violin here, coming at you with yet another video. Today in this video, what I am going to be talking about is hero counters. The reason I decided to do this video is because I was kind of curious myself, what hero class is better to use versus other hero classes. So I was looking on Reddit and YouTube and stuff like that, and I didn't actually find like any information at all. So I spent the time myself to put this information together, because I wanted to, like I said, I just pretty much wanted to know myself. So I decided if I was going to take the time out to do the research myself, that I should at least do a video for it. So I have put some slides together for this particular video because it is a quite a bit of information. I decided it would be a little bit faster to do it this way. So I'm going to be, of course, playing this or whatever. But while it is playing, I am going to be going over this information I have gathered on what heroes counter what other hero units. Not like particular heroes, but just like the hero classes in particular. Of course, some particular heroes are going to be better suited for fighting certain other type of heroes that the other ones of their type might not be suitable for. So this is just like a general video. So I hope it really helps you guys, because I know that it has helped me quite a bit since I started going by this information. So to start, I have this right here. As you can see, this is going to be my wonderful intro screen of War Crown Hero Counters by Black Violin, also known as War Chief of Crown on YouTube. So to start, what I took into consideration to determine counters is the crit strike and crit damage rates, dodge and block rates, physical and magic damage immunity rates, defense penetration rates, effect accuracy and resistance rates. Any stat that I do not show on these further slides is going to be 0, and all these rates are factored from 3 to 5-star heroes. So I also give each particular stat, but there are some things that you may not have known about this game. Some of this stuff I didn't know, so I decided to share it with you. Some of it's kind of common knowledge, but some isn't. But there are 6 classes of heroes in War Crown right now. They are the DPS, range, tank, support, assassin, and mage. There is currently no common hero 4-star tanks or common hero 4-star supports. What I mean by common is, if you look at the background picture here, this is the hero codex. You have your special heroes, which are pretty much heroes that have an actual name, and then common heroes, which are like the 3-star fodders you can farm, and like a couple others that you just can commonly pull from crystals or garnets, as well as the 4 to 5-star pulls that you get from your weeklies. And then you have this other, which is just the Evan Yangs, Revan Yangs, and Dark Nyang thing. There is currently no 5-star ranged units like natural 5-star range units, and there's also no 5-star assassin units. I actually thought there were going to be a 5-star or uh 5-star ranged or assassin, but there actually isn't. Another thing I think a lot of people overlook is all heroes of the same class in natural star grade have the same exact stats, such as HP, defense, their attack, physical attack, magical attack, etc., except for their action charge speed, their movement range, and their jump. Um, so to start with the first one here, we have a DPS, which in War of Crown is going to be damage per round, not really per second, because this isn't like a this is more turn based instead of like live action. So as you can see, I have uh the stats that I mentioned earlier that I took into consideration on this list for the 3-star, 4-star, and 5-star. The physical plus 10%. Actually, anything that is a plus in the physical or magical section is their immunity. So DPS actually take 10% less damage from other physical units, but they take 15% more damage from magic units. The 3-stars have a crit rate of 3% naturally with no crit damage, and a block rate of 5%, and a defense penetration of 5% as well. They have no effect accuracy, but they do have a effect resistance of 5%. The 4-stars are the same for the physical and magical attack damage reduction. They have a block rate of 5%, a 2% increase of crit rate compared to a 3-star, and a defense penetration percent of 5%. And they actually gain. No, I'm sorry. They have a block rate of 5% as well. No accuracy rate. And then they also gain another 5% to their effect resistance. The 5-star, again, it's going to be 10% increased damage that they take from, or they 10% less damage from a physical, 15% more from magical. They have a critical strike increase of 2% from the 4-star at 7%, 0% crit damage. They have a 2% block increase as well, and then a 2% defense penetration increase. And then they have no accuracy still and a 5% increase to 15 for their resistance. As you can see here, I even wrote it down what goes up. Their crit rate, block, defense, penetration, and effect resistance go up per their natural star grade. DPS counters ranged and assassins, but they can also counter supports and mages, but not as effective due to the return damage. What I mean by return damage is that the uh, supports and mages are, of course, magic units, and as you can see, DPS units take 15% more damage from magic units. So that's why they're not as effective going against support and mages, even though they do increase damage to these two units as well. They are not effective against other DPS or tanks because both DPS, they're going to be doing reduced damage to another DPS unit. And when it comes to tanks, they're going to be doing a greatly reduced damage to a tank. So the next one is the ranged units. At 3 star, they take 25% more physical damage, but no magic damage. They're neutral to magic damage. They have no crit rate naturally, but they do have a 10% crit damage uh, naturally with a defense penetration of 8%, with an effect accuracy and effect resistance of 0. A 4 star is the same, 25% more physical damage they receive, but they are neutral to magic. Uh, no crit rate, an increase of 5% to crit damage from a 3 star to 4 star, with a 2% defense penetration, uh, as well to 10%, no accuracy or resistance. These are the only units in the game currently because there are no 5 star, natural 5 star ranged units currently in War Crown. The only rates that change between a 3 star and 4 star are the crit rate and defense penetration increase. Ranged counters mages, supports, and other ranged units. They can also counter assassins, but it's not as effective due to return damage. And again, what I mean by return damage is if it was like a one-on-one fight, pretty much, the ranged unit's going to take heavy damage from the assassin, but the assassin also takes heavy physical damage as well. So they are not very effective as against assassins unless they have protection. Ranged units are not effective against DPS or tanks. Um, However, they can be somewhat useful against a tank because most tanks are, of course, going to be defense built, and they do have a high natural defense penetration. So if you build them for anti-tank, they can actually be very effective in that role. That choice, however, is up to you guys if you want to build your ranged units to specifically be taking on tanks. The next one is assassins. The 3 star assassins, as I said earlier, do take a highly increased physical damage. They take 25% more physical damage, but they are neutral to magic. They have a 5% dodge rate and a 5% block rate, uh, a natural crit rate of 8%, and a natural crit damage of 10%, with no effect as accuracy or resistance at a 3 star. Again, 4 star, 25% more damage from physical, neutral, neutral to magic. They do not gain very much difference here, but they do gain a 2% crit rate increase to 10%, and a 15%, which is a 5% increase to their crit damage for a natural 4 star. Their dodge rate stays the same, but they also gain a 2% block increase to 7%, which I really don't understand, honestly. Why would dodge is more the assassin thing, I think. So why are they blocking more than dodging at a higher rate? I couldn't figure that out, honestly, so I wanted to point that out. They have no effect accuracy or effect resistance. There are currently no 5 star, natural 5 star assassins in War Crown. Their crit strike, crit damage, and block increase is what goes up for their natural star grade increase. Assassins are really good at countering mages, supports, and ranged, but they can also counter DPS, but are not as effective due to the return damage. And assassins are not effective at all against tanks, Do not try to take a tank on with your assassin unless you just absolutely have to. And even then, you're most likely going to lose because the tank's just going to eat up the damage you're trying to deal out, and it's just not going to be pretty for you. So then we have the tanks here. Um, Tanks are at 3-star. They resist physical damage by 25%, but they take 25% more magic attack damage. I'm sorry. At They have no crit rate or crit damage, but they do have a high block rate of 8%, and they have no effect accuracy or effect resistance either. At 4-star, they have take the same 25, reduce 25% damage physical, increase damage of by magical by 25%, no crit rate, no crit damage, a 2% increase to block for 10%, no infect accuracy or resistance, and 5 stars again the same. These two stats pretty much will not change between 3-star, 4-star, and 5-star. So it's 25% resistance to physical damage, but they take 25% increased magical damage, no crit rate, no crit damage, and another 2% block increase for 12% with no effect accuracy or resistance. Uh, Block rate is the only stat that goes up per star grade for tanks. I thought that was a little surprising. Um, I figured like their block rate and their block damage reduction would go up, but their block damage reduction is actually 0 for all grades. Um, and there are no common hero tanks. Like that also surprised me. Uh, well, actually, I take that back. Now that I'm thinking about it, there are common hero tanks because the Treant is a common hero, and I'm pretty sure he is a tank hero. So I do take that back now that it has crossed my mind as I was saying it. Um, Tanks are effective against DPS, ranged, and assassins, but tanks are not effective against mages or offensive type supports. They're not effective against these units because they're going to be taking a very high damage from them. Like tank mages and supports, especially an offensive type support like a Dark Farrier who has an offensive skill. Uh, they're really going to be tearing through your tanks, while your tanks really isn't going to be dealing out enough damage to be effectively trying to take them on. And then we have the Mage. The Mage at 3-star takes 25% increased physical damage, but they take a reduced magical damage by 25%. They have no crit rate or crit damage, but they do have a defense penetration of 8%. They have no effect accuracy, but excuse me, an effect resistance of 20%. They again 25% increased physical damage to them, but reduced 25% magic. Zero crit rate, zero crit damage. Defense penetration goes up by 10%. Um, so that is a 2% increase from a 3-star to a 4-star. Again, effect accuracy is 0, effect resistance is 20. Uh, Physical for a 5-star, 25 increased damage from physical, reduced damage by magic by 25, 0 crit rate, 0 crit damage. Defense and penetration goes up another 2% by giving them a 12% uh, defense penetration. 0 accuracy and a 5% increase to resistance for 25% resistance. Only defense penetration is increased by their star grade, and only effect resistance is between a 4-star and 5-star. So if that didn't really make sense, what I was saying is uh, from 3-star, 4-star, and 5-star, the defense penetration will always be higher, but only a 4-star and 5-star have a different uh, defense or effect resistance, which is 5%. Mages are effective against tanks and DPS. Mages can counter DPS, but they're not as effective due to the return damage. Again, that's if it were a one-on-one fight, the DPS is most likely going to win because the DPS is going to be doing more damage to the mage than the mage is going to be able to do to the DPS. Mages are not effective against supports or other mages because they're doing reduced damage of 25% to them, which is really big. That's like I didn't know that until I started doing this, so it kind of shocked me, honestly, that there was such a big difference between them. Um, and then the last one is supports, of course. For a 3-star support, they take 25% more physical damage, but they reduce physical damage by, or they reduce magical damage, I'm sorry, by 25%. Okay, I hit cancel and this thing told me I don't have enough mandolins. But they take 25% damage. They have 0 crit rate, 0 crit damage. What else? They have an effect accuracy of 10% and an effect resistance of 8%. Wait, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. They have an effect accuracy of 10% and an effect resistance of 20%. As a 4-star, they take the increased 25% damage from physical, but reduce magic by 25%. 0 crit rate, 0 crit damage. They have a 5% increase to their accuracy to 15%. And then 20% resistance still. A 5-star is 25 increased damage from physical, 25% reduced damage from magical, 0% crit rate, 0% crit damage. Effect accuracy goes up yet again by another 5% for a 20% grade. And then their resistance also goes up by 5% for a 5% gain for 25%. I'm sorry, my mind blanked out there. There are commonly no support heroes. No common support heroes. I actually thought there was. I did go through these. But they're all like mages and stuff like that. I don't think I went through every single one, but I literally went through probably like 10 to 15 common heroes looking for a single support to get these rates from, and I couldn't find one. Well, actually, I had to because there's a 3-star here. So, yes, there are 3-star supports. Wonderful, wonderful research I've done. Anyways, the only effect accuracy and resistance increase per their natural star grade, everything else stays the same. Supports are effective against DPS and tanks. However, they will take return damage, increased damage from them. Supports are not effective against other supports, mages, or ranged. They're not effective, really, honestly, against anybody. Like, overall, like, supports are literally there to just help your party. They're, of course, going to be hard to kill because they have a very high effect resistance, but a DPS such as a assassin or a DPS unit is going to just be able to really tear right through them. So that is it, guys, for this video. Um, I hope that it helps you with determining who who is more useful to use against who and so forth. Because like I said, I know that it helped me when I started doing this video. Doing the research, of course, it helped me like realize some things I never even knew. Like, I knew mages would, of course, were squishy, but I really didn't realize just how squishy they were when they were going up against somebody like a DPS unit. And DPS, they're just like, they're kind of par, you know, like you can build them definitely bruiser because they don't really take much damage from either physical or DPS or magic. I'm sorry. But it's kind of the same thing with the ranged units. I was a little surprised at their stats. So, like I said, I hope this video really helps you. Um, it took me a couple hours. I'm not gonna really try to guesstimate how long it took me to do this. But it did take some time, so I hope that it was worth it. Um, so just hit the like button or whatever. Uh, that way, you know, the more likes this video gets, it'll get out to more people because YouTube is going to put it out there. You know, the higher the likes are on the video. So please like this video. I did take quite a bit of time to make it and put it out here for you guys because it is some information that as a player of War Crown, I think everybody should be aware of, and it's very much overlooked, I would say, as well. So please hit the like button on this video, subscribe to my channel, and if you leave a comment as well, I will reply to your comment as soon as I can. So thank you for watching, guys and girls. And please enjoy your grind in War of Crown. And I shall see you in the next video.